Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May edition of our morning book buzz. We are so happy to be with you this morning. And it is finally getting warm here in the Northeast. The flowers are blooming, and we're excited to tell you about what we're loving this spring and what's coming up in late summer and fall. Thank you so much for dropping all of your reads in the chat. We love to see those. Keep them coming. We'd love to hear what you're reading this month. I am reading Upward Bound. This is an amazing debut if you have not already picked it up. It is an extraordinary novel from Woody Brown, who is the first non-speaking autistic graduate from UCLA, who also earned his MFA from Columbia. In this novel, he recounts the lives of the staff and clients at an adult daycare center in California. It is rich, it is poignant, it will change the way you look at the world and at the people in it, and I highly recommend it. And I will let my colleagues introduce themselves and what they're reading too, and I'll pass the mic to Charnel.
Hi everyone, I'm Charnel. Right now I am reading American Fantasy by Emma Straub. And as much as I hate to say it, I could totally see myself going on one of these cruises. It's set on a boy band cruise, and just the descriptions of all of the fans on the ship and the amount of glitter and just, it's taken me back to my borderline obsessive NSYNC days. So, if you can identify with that, please read it. It's great. And next is Kelly. What are you reading?
Good morning, everybody. How are you today? I am probably because my favorite hockey team has been so terrible, I've become a very big golf fan this year. So I'm reading this book, All Carry by Jean Wachowski. It's really fun. John Grisham calls it a wonderful tale for all lovers of golf, especially the weekend hackers with embarrassing handicaps. Now we have hope if we can just find the magic clubs. It's about a recently laid off golf reporter down on his luck caddy and a magical set of golf clubs once owned by Jack Nicklaus. So I'm new to golf. It's fun, it's lighthearted, and it's like kind of teaching me a little bit of the background of like who's really important and that kind of thing. So that's my new thing, and I'm really liking it so far.
Love it. So after today's presentation, you can get more insight into what's coming this fall from all the publishers out there. We hope you signed up already for LJ Day of Dialogue. If you have not, please do so. It's free. It's a day-long virtual event. We have so many incredible authors who will be speaking, keynotes like Hernan Diaz and Emily St. John Mandel, and so many more wonderful author panels. So we hope you'll join us tomorrow at Day of Dialogue, and we'll send the link to register after we finish the presentation. And we hope to see you in person in Chicago at ALA in June. It's one of our favorite moments of the year. We have so many author and giveaway things to announce very, very shortly. We hope that if you're attending, you can let us know so you can be added to our invitation lists. Again, we'll send that link out after the chat. You can just click on the chat, let us know you're going, and we will send out emails about all of our events coming up.
Sorry, we wanted to take a moment to remind you all of our great website that we have. It is, everything's in one place, from book club kits to upcoming events and special catalogs and things of that nature. So if you haven't already, please go visit our website. And then if you haven't already signed up for our e-newsletters, please consider it. There are options for all kinds of librarians, whether you're focused on children's and teens or academic. And it's an easy way to stay up to date on new titles and resources.
Also, a shout out, we just started an academic newsletter. So if you are an academic librarian or know somebody, you should hurry up and follow us. Sorry, shameless plug.
Yeah, we really do have many, many resources that we share with you. So we hope that you will join and follow. And just a reminder, you can find all the formats of our upcoming books below the jackets on the slides. And if you see that Orange E. You know that there's an eGalley available either on NetGalley or Edelweiss or both, so please check it out and request so that you can start reading immediately. Okay, there's a lot of books on this slide. I'm not going to go into all of them. I'm just going to say that we are so excited. This slide and the next are just an embarrassment of riches. We have so many literary superstars and best-selling authors returning with new books this coming fall. We have Jodi Picoult, we have Chang-Rae Lee, we have Richard Russo, Leon Moriarty, Marlon James, Emily St. John Mandel. We have memoirs coming from Isabel Allende and Gloria Steinem. We have a new Richard Osman mystery and a new romance from Lila Sage. There is something for everyone coming this fall, and we hope you will take a look and make sure they're ready for your patrons.
I feel like when Richard Russo writes a new book, it's for me. So that one's for me.
I agree. I agree. And then just a very exciting announcement news that we wanted to let you know about. There's no cover yet, no official cover yet, but John Green will be, he will have his first adult novel coming out called Hollywood Ending. This is an incredible behind the scenes Hollywood love story about the conflict between public and private life and the people that you hold on to. So we hope you will check it out, and I'm sure your patrons will be very excited to hear about this.
All right, so let's get on to the books. I will tell you that I am filling in for my colleague Miriam Tulio today, who takes way better notes than me. So I'm going to do my best to be the best version of Miriam today. So we're going to start up by talking about The Butterfly Season by Leah Korsgaard. It's for readers of the Backyard Bird Chronicles, H is for Hawk, and Raising Hare. It's a #1 international bestseller. It's a profound and inspiring exploration of the natural world. The book chronicles Korsgaard's year-long quest to track every species of butterfly in Denmark, blending nature writing, philosophy, myth, and science. On the first day of the year, Korsgaard sat at her desk making a list. It was a typically cold, quiet January day, and the possibility of the new year, of new discoveries and new challenges, reawakened an old dream of hers, to see every Danish butterfly species in 1 year. At first, the goal felt impossible. Korsgaard knew almost nothing about butterflies, but she persevered, created a color-coded tracking system that mapped butterfly regions and flight times with meticulous care. It has 64 hand-drawn illustrations, and it offers an intimate reflections on the beauty and fleeting nature of life.
And then next, I'm sharing The Bookshop Woman, My Year Transforming Lives One Book at a Time by Nanako Hanada, and translated by Kat Anderson. This is a memoir that reads like a cozy fiction. It follows Hanada, a bookseller in Tokyo, who after her marriage falls apart, finds herself isolated and searching for connection. She signs up for a meetup site where strangers meet for just 30 minutes, and she offers them something unusual. She'll recommend each person the book that will change their life. Over the course of a year, she meets hundreds of people, listening to their stories and matching them with books in a way that feels part reader's advisory, part emotional lifeline. And through these encounters, Tokyo starts to feel less like a vast city and more like a connected community. And along the way, she begins to rebuild her own sense of purpose. I think this one would be a really good book club pick.
And if you're looking for snacks to make at your book club, the new cookbook from America's Test Kitchen coming out is the Complete High Protein Cookbook. It's designed for individuals looking to lose weight, maintain muscle mass, and enjoy healthy, high protein recipes. It features over 200 dietitian-backed recipes from quinoa tacos to spicy barbecue chickpeas and tuna poke salad to fluffy cottage cheese pancakes. Yum. The cookbook includes meal prep tips, customizable ingredients, and meal plans fit to seamlessly fit into your routine. We love to recommend America's Test Kitchen cookbooks because they are easy to use and they make people that don't cook very well, like me, able to cook something that's actually pretty good and decent. And we know high protein diets are in right now.
I'm in that camp too, Kelly. I need America's Test Kitchen.
I need it dumbed down, and that's it. So next we have some captivating memoirs for you. Mine that I'm going to talk about is This Cursed Beautiful Land. It's for readers of Anne Applebaum and Bill Browder. It's a highly anticipated memoir from the Wall Street Journal reporter who was wrongly imprisoned in Putin's Russia for more than a year. A glimpse of inside perils and contradictions of a country in the midst of autocracy. In March 2023, a year after Russia invaded the Ukraine, Gershkovich met with a union boss connected with a Russian tank factory. As the journalist sat with his source in an empty restaurant in an industrial city 900 miles east of Moscow, a squad of masked agents charged in, blindfolded Evan, and dragged him into an unmarked van. It's like a movie, but not. The agents were from the FSB, Putin's powerful security service. 5 years earlier, Evan had arrived in Moscow to jumpstart his journalism career. His parents had left the Soviet Union in the 70s to forge a middle-class life in New Jersey, where Evan grew up on Soviet-era cartoons and weekend trips to Brighton Beach. In Moscow, Evan dove into life, unpacking politics for readers of the Moscow Times and developing a deep circle of friendships. But war, it seemed, had changed the rules of his easy life there. He was interrogated for hours after his arrest. Evan was told he was being charged with spying and thrown into Moscow's notorious Lefordova, which is a prison, and he was used as a pawn in a geopolitical chess match. For the next 16 months, he documented his life in Russia that few Westerners will ever experience. Its sprawling prison system with its own vocabulary and customs. The book is expected to be a major media event, and it's the first public account of his time there.
Wow. And next is Fictional Selves by Kyle MacLachlan. This is a memoir that plays with the idea that there isn't just one version of him. There's the real Kyle, and then there's the other Kyle, the public-facing version we see in interviews, on social media, and in all the roles he's played. He traces his career from being discovered by David Lynch for Dune through Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks, and into the rest of his film and TV work. And throughout, he's reflecting on how those roles, especially his long creative partnership with Lynch, shaped him not just as an actor, but as a person. And this ends up being a thoughtful, sometimes funny look at fame, creative identity, and what it means to spend a career stepping in and out of other people's lives. Now on to something very different. We have horror and dark fantasy, and I am sharing Tapeworm by A.P. Thayer. This is a queer horror novel set during a weekend getaway in a remote California desert town called Superstition, which is a place that I don't think that I would want to stay for a weekend. A group of friends come together for what's supposed to be a bonding trip. But something beneath the town starts working its way into the group, feeding not just on their bodies, but on their desires. At the center is Victor, who's recently separated from his wife and has spent a long time repressing parts of himself. As the weekend unfolds, he's pulled deeper into the town's strange, seductive undercurrent, where connection, hunger, and identity all start to blur in some pretty unsettling ways. It mixes vampire lore with intense body horror, very much in the vein of The Thing, and uses that to explore queerness, desire, and what happens when things are pushed down for way too long.
Back for Blood, Never Whistle at Night, Part 2, is set to captivate fans of horror and Indigenous voices with its new selection of daring and sinister stories. This best-selling Indigenous dark fiction anthology returns with 21 brand new groundbreaking tales featuring both established and newly unearthed Indigenous talent. Contributing authors include award winners like Tommy Orange, Stephen Graham Jones, and Ramona Emerson. Each story in the collection is accompanied by haunting illustrations from renowned Cheyenne and Arapaho painter Brent Learned. Building on the success of the original anthology, this is the sequel, and it's a further celebration of Indigenous survival and the enduring tradition of transforming adversity into art.
And next we have Blacktail by Scott Hawkins, the long-awaited second novel from the author of the cult hit The Library at Mount Char. This is a new, one-of-a-kind dark fantasy for readers of The Staircase in the Woods, Bird Box, and crossover literary horror in the vein of Victor Laval and Stephen Graham Jones. Blacktail is a wolf, and his world is being invaded by men. Soon his territory will be overrun, and there will be nowhere left to go. When his mate, a house dog, is killed, Blacktail rebels. He invades the house of her owners, seeking vengeance. Blacktail's fury catches the notice of an ancient and terrible feline witch who makes him an offer. What if Blacktail could end the human race responsible for the death of his family and for the destruction of the natural world? To do so, Blacktail must find and wake the forest god. Only he might stand a chance against the plague of men. Blacktail knows that the Northwoods are dwindling to nothing, and he sees no other choice. As Blacktail journeys farther from his wild home and deeper into the world of men, he encounters strangers, animal, mortal, otherworldly, who for their own reasons want to help Blacktail rid the world of humans. Along the way, it becomes clear that he is more than just a wolf. The forest god is sleeping, yes, but what will be the price of waking him? And last on this slide, but certainly not least, is The Rouse by China Mieville, a book 20 years in the making, a deeply moving, decade and continent-spanning epic of personal grief, global tumult, and grim conspiracy. Moore's life has been shaped by loss, an apparently ordinary tragedy, but in its aftermath arise deeper and stranger questions. Their answers may lie within the dark heart and darker history of an old soldier who shares Moore's obsessions and who is violently pursued by the same unknown unique forces. This extravagant epic touches on themes ranging from motherhood to grief, and in its many forms, and to war and politics and espionage, dark conspiracies, and uncanny forces. This is for readers of Gravity's Rainbow, House of Leaves, and Infinite Jest.
Sometimes I'm even like, wow, our list. Like there's some pretty heavy hitters on this one. Jeez. Next up is some riveting nonfiction. Redwood, The Untold Story of the Cold War's Most Extraordinary Spy, which is by Ben McIntyre, the New York Times bestselling author of The Spy and the Traitor, which I absolutely loved. This is for readers of your fast-paced spy narratives like Bridge of Sighs, In the Enemy's House, and The $1 Billion Spy. The year is 1981. Tehran is in violent turmoil in the wake of the Iranian Revolution. The Soviets are planning to overthrow the Ayatollah's fledgling Islamist regime. If they do so, our response, contemplated in the secret chambers of American power, unknown to the public, would be to strike with nuclear weapons. Redwood is the story of how, and at the height of the Cold War, one mysterious double agent whose intelligence reached the highest levels of American and British governments, cracked open the KGB, revealed the Kremlin's secret plot, and prevented Armageddon. Redwood was the M16 code name for this unsung hero of the Cold War, a highly trained 6'4" Russian intelligence officer who chose to expose the KGB's deepest secrets, compelled to swap sides by a shaming secret of his own. Facing exposure with both the Iranian Revolutionary Guards and his own KGB colleagues, closing in, he demanded that M16 try to smuggle him out of Iran in a high-stakes escape plan. This is the gripping tale of one man's courage and its extraordinary unintended consequences that still shape our world today. It's about a moving friendship between spies on opposite sides of the global conflict, about loyalty and betrayal. It's drawing on never-before-seen archival material and interviews with intelligence officers from multiple countries. Redwood plunges readers back into the shadowy world of the spy and the traitor. It lifts the lid on an unknown and highly significant Cold War victory, on the machinations of history's great game, and how espionage really works. I can't wait. I actually can't wait to read this one. Oh, sorry, that's me too. The Vanishing Family, Love, Fate, and the Quest to End Dementia, totally different. And this is by Robert Kolker, the author of the New York Times bestselling author of Hidden Valley Road. For readers of science narratives like The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks and Far From the Tree by Andrew Solomon, and also he did write the book Hidden Valley Road, which was really great. This is a heart-wrenching journey of a family facing an unthinkable destiny, whose flawed genetic code might hold the long-sought key to a cure for dementia. In this highly idyllic town of Pleasant Hills, Pennsylvania, there lived a family with 9 siblings, the youngest girl named Barb. As the older children headed off to college and started their lives, only Barb was home to see their beautiful, still young mother fall under a gothic spell, changing into someone she didn't recognize, withdrawn, neglectful, uncaring. Thus begins the Vanishing Family journalist Robert Kolker's superb follow-up to Hidden Valley Road. Deeply passionate and chilling, wrote the Washington Post. This family, we learn, has a genetic mutation that causes dementia, but with an exceptionally cruel twist. As early as their 40s, formerly loving parents and hard-driving executives will lose their jobs, have affairs, take up drinking, shed all inhibitions and sense of responsibility, and become people their families hardly know. Their former personalities seem to vanish, and there is a 50-50 chance that this will happen to their children too. This book unfolds like a heartbreaking thriller as the siblings begin to realize that what happened to their mother is happening to them. First 1, then 2, then 4 of them begin to see the change. Sue, in search of a calling, finds her place in caring for the others. Barb sets out to find a cure. Alongside their story, Kolker weaves in the dramatic scientific fight against dementia after decades of blind alleys. This is the family's rare form of FTD, and it might lead to a breakthrough in the prevention and treatment of all dementia. The Vanishing Family is an enthralling narrative about one family's fate and the medical detective story that speaks to all of us who fear losing ourselves at the end.
I used to live in the Madison Square Park neighborhood in New York, and so I am particularly excited about this next book. In 2006, Danny Meyer owned 11 restaurants and was nurturing a single Parkside burger kiosk, a little place called Shake Shack. He had just written a best-selling book, Sitting the Table, about his company's unique culture of enlightened hospitality. And on the first page of that book, Danny proudly declared that in 25 years, he had never closed a restaurant. But just a few years later, he shuttered his beloved Tabla, which was a wonderful restaurant, a decision that filled him with shame, but sparked a reckoning within him about what it means to be a leader. Danny realized that his fear of failure wasn't just misguided, it was an impediment to his innate entrepreneurial spirit. In What Could Possibly Go Right, he takes the reader along his journey to learn how he's delivered a winning culture of excellence at scale. What Could Possibly Go Right offers a fascinating and lively look at the last 20 years of Danny's career, along with plenty of his trademark mantras, DFS, don't effing settle, change your grip, and think like a winemaker, as well as leadership concepts. Together, they offer an insightful, practical, and transformative roadmap for success, yes, but more importantly, for making things that matter and endure. Danny believes that culture is an aspiration, not a destination. And when you get your culture on the right path in any field, missteps end up mattering far less than the lives that you've changed for the better. This is exciting.
Sounds good.
And switching gears now to fiction, I am very excited to tell you about Sunlight Finds You from Laura Moriarty, the best-selling author of The Chaperone, who we had the pleasure of meeting at PLA. I hope some of you did as well. She is just lovely and as wonderful as you would imagine. And this new novel is perfect for readers of Hello Beautiful and Tom Lake, and it's called Sunlight Finds You. It's 1949, and St. Petersburg, Florida is warm, lush, and booming with newcomers seeking sunshine and opportunity. For 17-year-old Nora, St. Pete feels like a paradise, especially after she meets and wins over Leonard, the shy and brilliant son of transplanted New Yorkers. Nora and Leonard are soon spending balmy days and evenings together, and in her adoring and encouraging company, he grows more confident. Leonard's sophisticated mother welcomes Nora into their lives, but his father distrusts her motives. And when his suspicions are seemingly confirmed, Nora is forced to cut contact. In her longing and her fear, she takes a chance that changes her life, exiling her from the family she loves and setting off a chain of secrets and betrayals that will follow her into adulthood. Told from the perspective of a mature Nora, looking back, Sunlight Finds You is ultimately a book about extending forgiveness to ourselves and to others, and about refusing to settle for a life that is less than full.
Next up is Understory by Chloe Benjamin, who I know a lot of you love. She's the New York Times bestselling author of The Immortalists, and she returns with an intimate yet epic love story and a sweeping odyssey of scientific discovery. Understory invites us to consider the promise of this life, what might lie behind it, and how far would we go for one more time with the people we love, cementing Chloe Benjamin's place among our best and most lasting storytellers. We wake up to tomorrow, never yesterday. At the edge of the world, biologist Lauren Salter is hiding from everything she's ever known. For 10 hours a day, 6 days per week, she works as a dishwasher at McMurdo Station, an isolated research base in Antarctica. She tells no one that before she arrived, she was a renowned young scientist with a promising career and a family. But even in this remote outpost, Laurel cannot escape her past. When a strange light appears across the ice and draws a group of physicists to McMurdo, her former husband Eli won't be far behind. Laurel is captivated by the arc, its surreal glow, the way it seems most alive. And although Eli is reluctant to test her wildest theory, Laurel is convinced that the arc leads down a rabbit hole and into a world they can barely imagine. Can she persuade him to risk everything, to fix the burden that hangs between them, to turn back the clock and live their story a second time? A breathless page-turner and a love letter to our planet, Understory grapples with the greatest questions of our time: human hubris, the precarity of the natural world, and the mysterious threads of consciousness that comes with the heart-wrenching journey of a family facing the unthinkable destiny, whose flawed let me just find this. There you go. So it's a beautiful, another one of her. She kind of reminds me of Who Do We Love, Elizabeth, that wrote Age of Miracles. What's her name? And she
Karen Thompson Walker.
Yeah, like her novel is very real, but it also has a little bit of a time travel element to it, and the philosophical questions that come along with whether or not if you could do your life over again, what would you change? We love Chloe Benjamin.
I love that question too.
I know, me too.
Next is Switzy by Emma Cline. This is the newest novel from the best-selling author of The Girls. It is a provocative read for fans of Miranda July's All Fours and David Salty's Flesh, or Otessa Moshfegh's Death in Her Hands. A private plane cuts through the winter night. David, a retired executive, sits in his leather seat, playing solitaire on his phone. In his jacket pocket, there is a journal filled with urgent reminders to himself, but he struggles to recognize his own handwriting. Cody, his assistant, asleep in the seat next to him, will shepherd him through this voyage. A stopover in London, dinner with his adult daughter, a meeting in France with an estranged friend. His final destination is Zurich. As David glides through foreign cities, running out the clock on his mortal life, his grasp on the present slips away, and the past rushes in. The Sunday roasts of childhood, a summer at a school friend's house, the losses and missteps that punctuate life. As David's arrival in Zurich looms, an exquisitely rendered portrait of an unraveling mind emerges. It's both darkly humorous but profoundly moving, hypnotic and original. Switzy reveals what a man is left with when his accomplishments and compromises all vanish.
That's
And
a great
then
cover.
it
Nice.
is good. It is good. And then I'm really excited to tell you about this next book, The Pirate Queen, a sweeping, historical, swashbuckling coming-of-age novel inspired by the real life of legendary Irish folk heroine Grace O'Malley. It's the newest novel from Ariel Lawhon, the best-selling author of The Frozen River and I Was Anastasia. Grace O'Malley was born to be a sea captain, but despite her natural skill on the water, Grace learns early that her dreams of a life at the helm are not compatible with the expectations of her noble family. As the only daughter of a powerful chieftain, her role is to secure a strong alliance and bear children. Married off against her will to a brutal warrior, Grace performs her duty, all while gathering followers loyal to her and consolidating her husband's power, only to be ousted from his lands. But this betrayal offers Grace the opportunity to return to the sea, finally leading Clan O'Malley's mighty fleet. Just as she finds true independence, Queen Elizabeth's incursions into Ireland grow bolder, and Grace must fight to defend her land, her ships, and the people she loves most against the cruel and power-hungry English deputies who will stop at nothing to check her influence. Keenly observed and fiercely written, Ariel Lawhon's new action-packed novel channels the untamed beauty and harsh realities of 16th century Ireland as seen through the eye of an unforgettable heroine who is rightly named the Pirate Queen of Ireland. I love how Ariel Lawhon takes these women from history and makes their lives so real. She spoke about the book on our recent festival, and if you haven't had a chance to watch the panel, please do. She talked about how much fun it was to write sword fights.
Oh my goodness, I bet that was fun.
She's
I wonder,
got
like,
we love her. She has like all these boys. Elizabeth and I both have a bunch of boys, and she wrote her first book, she said, when her little boys were running around. So we've always been fans of her. So I'm sure pirates were probably like her second language.
oh
I
my
love
goodness,
Very
her.
true.
This
Sword
is
fights
fun.
about.
Yeah.
Up next is The Dating Game by Ali Zetterberg. It is a witty thriller about a board game designer who starts treating her real life like one of her games, complete with rules, strategy, and consequences. Tilda Smith believes she can win at life and love if she just structures everything the right way. But when a date goes very wrong and she ends up with a body to deal with, her carefully controlled system starts to spiral. As she continues navigating the dating world, she's quietly deciding who deserves to stay in the game and who doesn't. Set against the glamorous backdrop of Monaco, it blends sharp humor, a little romance, and a calculating anti-heroine with a cat and mouse element as someone else starts to play a game of their own with Tilda. I think that one's going to be really fun.
That's fun too. That cover's fun.
Yeah.
Man, this is a stressful list. Now I want to read everything.
This is slightly less stressful. We're in the fun section now. I'm very excited to tell you about The Queen's Bodyguard, the adult debut and nature-inspired romantasy from Lauren Blackwood, who's the author of the best-selling YA novel Within These Wicked Walls. Queen Theora grudgingly agrees to make peace with the neighboring enemy who killed her predecessor and friend. But that doesn't mean she's going to the negotiations unprotected. Theora quickly selects Argos, a prickly and formidable warrior with a ruthless reputation, to act as her bodyguard in disguise. They're technically married, but Theora has no intention of finishing the ritual that would bind their souls. Argos is merely a means to end the conflict safely. Argos may have his reasons for accepting this arrangement, but he refuses to be a pawn in Theora's political games. If she wants a bodyguard, she'll have to obey his sacred warrior rituals. Theora doesn't expect to find her temporary husband's nature so addicting. And as peace talks begin, pretending to be married and in love is not nearly as difficult as pretending she doesn't desperately want him. The Queen's Bodyguard unleashes a torrent of blazing romance set against a vibrant modern fantasy world filled with webs of corruption and scheming. It's perfect for fans of Daniel Jensen and Sarah J. Maas. And this next one is so, so fun. The sidekicks take center stage in this tongue-in-cheek, cozy horror, The Henchperson's Guide to Unionizing by Marshall J. Moore. Perfect for fans of Assistant to the Villain, Legends and Lattes, and Grady Hendrix. As a laboratory assistant to the brilliant but demanding doctor, Igor spends his nights robbing graves, stitching together body parts, and ensuring that his master doesn't electrocute himself too badly. When a mob of peasants wielding torches and pitchforks drives them out of town again, Igor and the doctor relocated to the isolated Ravenwald Manor. But Igor and the doctor are not alone. The manor is already home to a vampiric count and his highly dissatisfied bride, Cornelia, and an enigmatic witch and her feline familiar, Grey Malkin. They intend to use it as the site of a magical ritual. At Igor's suggestion, the three pairs come to an uneasy agreement to cohabitate, lest they attract the suspicion of the nearby village. In the wake of the truce, Igor, Cornelia, and Grey Malkin soon begin to realize that they've been unwitting participants in a horrible plan to destroy the world. In this hilarious, heartwarming, and just scary enough, The Henchperson's Guide to Unionizing, Igor, Grimm, and Cornelia must unite to cast off the chains of their masters and embrace life on their own terms. So much fun.
That seems really fun. I'm excited about that one.
Me too.
Also excited about this one. You're the One That I Haunt by Katie Jung is a light paranormal romance about Libby, who's in love with her best friend Carter, just as he's about to marry someone else. Things get more complicated when Carter's cousin Trip shows up as a ghost that only Libby can see. Trip is trying to break a deadly family curse, and the solution depends on Carter going through with the wedding, which is the exact opposite of what Libby wants. So she's stuck teaming up with this charming, flirtatious ghost while they're chasing clues around New York City. And this leans into that fun, emotional love triangle with a mix of humor, longing, and just enough supernatural stakes to keep things interesting.
Next up is Day by Edwidge Endicott. Who doesn't love her? This is for fans of Zadie Smith, Jamaica Kincaid, Jasmine Ward. It's from the best-selling author of Everything Inside. Oh, sorry. Did I lose you guys? Oh, there you are. Sorry. Everything Inside comes a vivid, timely story moving from Haiti to Brooklyn to Miami of a woman whose sense of self and family are called into question when she gets caught in a random act of violence one sunny Florida day. Is this the place where we are born, or is this the place where we die? These questions haunt Magnolia, a successful Haitian American real estate agent in Miami, after she hears the terrifying sounds of gunfire while shopping for her daughter's first ever cell phone. She takes shelter in a restaurant called Oasis, carrying with fellow shoppers and diners, each praying to their respective gods. Once she's safely home, Magnolia hides the fact that she was at the mall shooting from everyone else close to her, but she's given her life back. She begins to see it all clearly, and as if for the first time. what the extraordinary bond she has with her daughter Zoe really means to her, and what Zoe may feel in return, what the nearly broken relationship she has with her partner Harrison has cost her, despite his love for their daughter. Um, she she is one of my favorite writers, and she asks these big questions and makes them so intimate. Can family protect us from harm? Does optimism or fear win out in one's heart or one's soul? Which side will win out for Magnolia, and where does she really belong? Pulled between these questions and her beloved high stakes choices and worlds, Miami or Haiti, single or married, mortal or ghost, before or after, Magnolia is one of the most compelling characters that Dandicott has ever created. A narrator who is shimmering, flitting between choices, drawn to the light, yet emitting her own. Taken its title from the Creole word for mourning, Day is a profoundly warm and moving novel about the importance of sharing grief and about the ties of family. Take-out dinners around a fresh table and swimming together in the azure seas as Magnolia questions whether all she has been lost. Day celebrates the complexities of life in a brave and striking novel. This is one of Dandicott's most powerful and deeply affecting works, and we are very excited to bring this to you in August.
And if you haven't watched the conversation from our festival between Edwige, Ruth Ozeki, and the author of Villa Coco, I encourage you. It's this amazing conversation that they all have about their work and their new books, and some fun traditions. So I encourage you to check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, and it's been 10 years since her last novel, so this is
Wow.
exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Next is The Birthing Tree by Amanda Peters, who is the best-selling author of The Berry Pickers. This one follows Elliot, a Mi'kmaq woman who grows up in a close-knit community in Nova Scotia, raised by her grandmother, Giju, after her mother dies giving birth to her under a sacred birthing tree. Her childhood is steeped in traditional knowledge, midwifery, medicine, and a deep connection to the land, but that world is under pressure from outside forces, including prejudice and policing of indigenous practices. After a traumatic event in her youth, Elliot leaves the path behind her and trains as a nurse, trying to build a separate life from her community. Years later, when Giju dies, Aliet returns home to a house that's falling apart and a community that is changed. As she begins to restore her home, she's also pulled into uncovering long-buried truths about her mother's death, her unknown father, and what really happened years ago in the orchard. The deeper she goes, the more she confronts generational silence, complicated loyalties, and the lasting impact of colonialism on her family. It's a sweeping but intimate story about identity, inheritance, and claiming both personal and or cultural history.
I don't know how many of you were at PLA, but maybe some of you were able to hear Nora Labiner at the Library Journal Evening with the Authors Dinner, and this is Morocco. This is an intricate tale of a woman, how she untangles her enduring bond with an heiress who she is still trying to understand. It's Chicago, it's the turn of the 21st century, and our narrator, always there and never entirely present, recounts her decades-long relationship with the heiress Catherine Stern. Through the years since boarding school, she has seen Catherine as a daughter who wants for nothing but respect from her psychotherapist father, as a woman with a kind but fortune-hunting fiancé, and a mystery even more confounding than the gothic horror stories she evaluates from the slush pile at her job. Sometimes, despite their estrangement, she has even seen Catherine as a friend. Inspired by the classic story Washington Square by Henry James, Nora Labiner reimagines the prolific tale, moving through the wintry Michigan Avenue to the creeping mansions of the rich, to the world of melodrama, ghosts, and girls. Morocco confronts the ambiguity of memory, the horrors of history, and what it means or does not mean to read a book and tell a story. It's about complicated female friendship. Catherine and the unnamed narrator come from different economic classes and spend years in between communication, yet their bond endures through decades, and much of Morocco is spent untangling how the two women can be intimately connected despite the gulf between them. And it's also set in Chicago, and the city is a character of its own. And anyone who has spent time there in the city will recognize its streets, its clean atmosphere, and the brutal weather. That is the September.
And now we are on to some very exciting audios. First is Brown Girl Dreaming. We have 25 newly recorded titles by award-winning author Jacqueline Woodson coming this month from Listening Library, including a special multi-voice production of Brown Girl Dreaming, Woodson's National Book Award winner and Newbery Honor. Narrated by an electrifying cast of award-winning actors, this special full cast edition of Brown Girl Dreaming celebrates its enduring legacy through moving performances and also features a collection of memories from readers who have felt its impact, including Michael Threets and many more. Revisit this extraordinary memoir and consider, what does Brown Girl Dreaming mean to you? Also, it features a new introduction written and read by the author. And we highly recommend checking out Jacqueline Woodson's recent in-depth audiobook conversation from our Spring Book and Author Festival. And I will drop the link in the chat so you have that, and we'll also send it around in our wrap-up. And then next is New History of the DC Universe. In celebration of 90 years of DC comes a thrilling and immersive audio production adapting superfan and writer Mark Waid's comprehensive new history of the DC universe, turning back time to the very beginning of it all. This is an audiobook or an audio adaptation of the 2025 four-issue comic book series by legendary creators. Dan Bittner leads a cast of 20 actors playing over 500 characters, which is just mind-boggling. It's a strong pick for both longtime fans who want a cohesive history and newer listeners who want an accessible entry point into the DC universe without needing to read decades of comics. And then, last on this slide, beware and warning. This audiobook is different from audiobooks. You and you alone are in charge of what happens in your story. At points in this audiobook, you will have to make a choice. Listen carefully, and then use the controls of your audiobook player to go to the chapter indicated. Interact and listen as you choose your own adventure. Yes, that is right. Choose Your Own Adventure is coming to audio for the first time. How, you may be asking? With careful planning from the audiobook producers who made a chart of different combinations and the ways in which each choice you make creates a map to follow for the narrator to record. So, with over 150 endings, this action-packed audiobook collection is sure to give so much delight to fans new and old to the Choose Your Own Adventure books, the fourth best-selling children's series of all time. And I am so excited for it. I can't wait.
I agree. I feel like it brings me back to my childhood, and I can't even imagine how they did this, how they made it work.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to try to listen to as many variations as possible just to get a feel. And then next, one of the greatest memoirs of all time. This book is globally recognized and well beloved. Students read it in classrooms throughout the US and in countries around the world. It has endured as a book that people respond to with joy, laughter, and reflection, time and again. The author-read audiobook is also beloved and has never been available to libraries as a digital download until now. This audiobook is now available as of yesterday from Books on Tape and can be added to your library's digital collections. very exciting.
And we're coming up on the 10th anniversary edition.
I think
So crazy.
the ending of one ending of a book is stressful. I can't imagine how many endings to do.
150.
Wow. That's incredible. We're wrapped it up for this month. Thank you so much for always joining us. We get so much energy from your chat and your responses, and it's so fun for us to tell you about the books that are coming out soon. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience and for all you do for our books and authors. And we hope we'll send out all those links after the presentation so you don't have to write anything down. We hope to see you at Day of Dialogue and at ALA, and we'll see you in July. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.